We have many ways to preserve a steam locomotive. We can restore it and run it on the main line, display it in a park or stuff it inside a museum, cut it open to show the inner workings, or, like the city of Dupont, Illinois, scrap 90% of the locomotive and call it a day. But why would you do this? Let's go back to 1909, when Missouri Pacific No. 124 was outshopped by the American Locomotive Works as part of the C63 class of 280s. These amateur consolidations boasted 63-inch drivers, a boiler pressure of 200 psi, and a tractive effort of 39,180 pounds, with a total of 172 C63s built between 1905 to 1910 from both the American Locomotive Works and the Baldwin Locomotive Works alike. 124 would operate for the MoPac on short-haul freight trains across the Midwestern United States for 46 years, until the dawning of diesel power would put steam locomotives out of a job. Much like me and other Canadians, right? 124 would be notable, though, for being one of the last operating steam locomotives for the Missouri Pacific, when on April 7, 1955, 124, alongside another 280, would doublehead a train with 10 dead steam locomotives in tow from Bush, Illinois, all the way to the town of Dupont, Illinois, putting an end to the steam era of the Missouri Pacific. While the rest of the MoPac steam locomotives were all scrapped, 124 would be set aside for potential preservation, as the railroad would offer the locomotive to the town of Dupont for static display. Seems generous, right? Well, for some reason, the city fathers were opposed to displaying a full-size steam locomotive in their town. Maybe they didn't want to deal with the cosmetic work on it? I guess. Lack of sufficient room? I doubt it. Looks like there's a lot of open land. Didn't feel bothered to lay down the rails to display it? Perhaps. Whatever excuse they had, they didn't want to deal with a full-size steam locomotive. However, they came with a baffling compromise. And the end result? Oh god, look at how they massacred our boy. Yeah, I don't know about you, but this was painfully bad. This is practically the equivalent of those animal heads that rich people have hanging on their walls. But yeah, what a dignified way for a steam locomotive to be preserved, right? At that point, you might as well just scrap the whole thing and call it a day. Regardless, as a result of this questionable preservation, 124 would be displayed behind an American Legion building, only getting slight cosmetic work while being obscured by the growing cedar trees around it, making it slightly difficult to sort of spot from the road. However, the building supporting 124 was reportedly demolished after 2022, and the locomotive has since been sold to an unknown buyer. As from what I read up, it's potentially being used as a prop for a haunted house. But I couldn't find any visual confirmation about this, so take this with a grain of salt. But if that's the case, at least the locomotive is seeing some use. And by that I mean it's probably scaring the shit out of unsuspecting victims.
What the fuck?
So yeah, 124 went from being a working man's locomotive to nothing more than a head on a wall. In spite of most of the locomotive being scrapped, what's left of it still lives on as a small remnant of the Missouri Pacific. And being the most bizarre and quite frankly frustrating way a steam locomotive has been preserved. Like, who in the right mind would approve of preserving something like this? But yeah, that will kind of do for today's video. This was actually a remaster of an old video I made like close to 2 to 3 years ago, like back in 2022. You know, back when I had the crappy microphone. Just only having the front part. But yeah, I want to remaster this video with a bit more better editing style and just try to explain it in a more conventional approach. You know what I mean? But yeah, now you know the deal. Like, subscribe, comment, share, and see you all in the next one. Take care, folks.